My guest today is Olivia Belts. She graduated with a degree in history and then moved into the world of HR. For the last 5 years, she's been with OEE in Oxford. She is currently a senior operations exec supporting the L&D team. Olivia, thanks for being with us.
No problem.
You've done the GC Index and you have a strong implementer profile. So from you today, we're going to learn as much as we can about implementers and what makes them successful in a work setting. Let's start with an open question. What are implementers like? What drives and motivates them?
I think the biggest driver would be the idea of getting things done, making sure that deadlines are hit and ensuring that they're done to a good standard as well. I think that it's something that they think of in a very practical way.
Give us a bit of context. Have you always been an implementer, as it were, in your life?
I think I have. I was always very conscientious at school and at university. I hated leaving things until the last minute. I hated missing deadlines, very rarely did actually. So I think I've always enjoyed ticking a box and finishing a task.
You have a list with you, do you?
Daily, yes. Day to day, absolutely.
So tell us about the satisfaction when it comes to ticking things off.
Yes, I think it's that sense of achievement, so knowing that something's done and actually visually seeing it as well, so that's always quite a satisfying feeling.
So those things that are tangible deliverables, those are the sorts of things that you like to, I've done this and I can tick it off my list. This takes us into my next question, certainly related to it. Presumably you, over time, you've developed as an implementer. If we think about you in the context of your current role, how is this proclivity underpinned your success?
So I've always liked getting things done. I think that being organised and conscientious has certainly helped me with this. I've had to be organised in order to succeed in my role, and I think there's also been times over the last 5 years where I've been tested to the extreme, I would probably say, which has also, by getting through these challenging times and my skills in being organised and sort of overseeing things has certainly helped with my success and are key to my role, really.
You've probably answered this question, but then your reputation with your work colleagues, what would they say about you?
Yes, I like to think that they would think of me as a safe pair of hands. Being based in the office whilst my colleagues are all work remotely and on client sites, I'm always available and I'm always on hand to sort of resolve any challenges. So certainly, as I said, a safe pair of hands and reliable, I hope.
And just broadening that question a little, because you have some understanding of your colleagues in terms of their GC Index proclivities.
Yes.
How do you, well, I suppose two questions really. One is, how do you complement them? What do you bring that they value? And it would also be interesting to get your views on how you think they complement you, how they make you good at what you do.
So I work with strategists and game changers, so different to me, but equally very complementary of my profile. I think that focusing on the game changer profile, the creativity is absolutely something that we need in our department in order to succeed and also to enable us to offer a wide variety of things to our client. So I believe that we complement each other quite well in that they bring the creativity and I bring the let's get it done element.
You actually see yourself actually making things happen.
Yes.
Yes.
So it might be that the initial idea and creativity is brought to the table by them, and it's very exciting, and it can often take an element of organisation just to see it through from start to finish, to ensure that all stages of that have been met. So often if we're creating new training programmes, there are certain things that need to be considered that at that initial creative stage might not be. So that's where I come in and support my colleagues to make sure it's done.
Yes. Is the relationship reached a point where you can say as an implementer, not sure that's going to work?
Yes, I think there is, definitely. And I think that's come over time in development of my skills as an implementer as well. I think that we work really well as a team. We complement each other in that sense. And over time, you learn the way to handle it without being negative, and actually showing that you are open to the ideas, but you're just thinking of the practical elements.
We'll come back to that in a minute, because I'd like you to summarise that. That's some interesting observations that you have there. And in terms of those folk that help you to do your job well, game changers bring exciting ideas and possibilities. Are there colleagues that help you to perform at your best?
Yes. I think that with the game changers and the creativity element and the strategist, it brings new challenges and opportunities that I wouldn't necessarily consider.
That's interesting. Okay. So in the sense that you're feeling stretched, or?
I wouldn't say stretched, but I think that as an implementer, I like to follow processes, and I like to go through things in a sort of logical sequence. And when something slightly different is brought to the table that I wouldn't necessarily think of, it can be quite interesting and certainly challenge me and develop me.
That's a great insight. Okay. Let's try and capture all of these observations and insights that you do have. So over time, over the last 5 years or so, as an implementer, what do you feel now, and maybe for the future, are the 4 or 5 key skills that implementers have to be effective?
Okay, I think being organised is absolutely key.
You talk about that as if it's so simple.
Yes.
As if it comes quite naturally to you to be organised, but there's a skill set within that, isn't there?
Yes, yeah. So I think, yes, being organised, being conscientious is certainly important. Being able to consider every element.
There's something about anticipating events, isn't there, in both of those, being organised and being conscientious, that you're able to track through the implications of what you're doing and to see what's needed.
Yes.
Okay. And so presumably you're drawing upon experience with that at the same time.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So being organised, being conscientious, what else is on the list?
Yes. Being practical. So looking at everything from sort of every angle before sort of jumping into an idea.
Yeah. So you will evaluate the practical implications of. Okay. Yeah. What do? You find yourself sitting down and thinking that through?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I think with every new idea, I'll always take some time to consider the pros, the cons.
Yeah.
Dare I say, what could go wrong without sounding too pessimistic there. I do always like to consider what could go wrong and what we might need to do in that event. But then going back to kind of the key skills, I'd say being able to adapt to others is important also as an implementer.
Tell us what you mean.
So I think a good example would be if someone brings a creative idea, it's just avoiding looking like you're shutting it down or being negative about it,
Yeah.
and ensuring that the way that you communicate with them is more in a positive way, not to say, no, I don't like the idea, but just to say, okay, have we considered this, this and this?
Yes, it's so easy, isn't it, to say, tried that last year and it didn't work then.
Yes.
Okay, and so having the skills to test ideas,
Yes.
the feasibility of ideas in a constructive
Absolutely,
way.
yes.
How did you, that's an interesting one, because
Yes.
how did you learn, is that trial and error learning?
I think it's probably over time, seeing ideas that maybe seem a bit too creative,
Yeah.
but actually seeing them be really successful. So that sort of definitely made me a lot more optimistic about things when, you know, the opportunity is there to go off the beaten track. And that, again, comes with experience, for sure.
Yes. So in your world, it's so important, isn't it, for you to be open to new ideas and possibilities, because a big part of your role is making them happen.
Exactly.
By being organised, by being conscientious, by adapting
Yes.
to change, but also by testing
Yes.
and presumably having the conversation about how can we make this work.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's a good list. Would you
Yeah.
choose anything else to go on there?
I think being good with people and understanding people probably does go alongside the final points there.
Yeah.
But having that ability to work with people, as you are the person that is implementing all of this, you do need to be able to work well with those that have a different role, perhaps.
Yes. Has the GC Index helped you in that sense? Just crystallised those differences?
Absolutely. I think it's helped me understand where they're trying to make their impact, and helped us work in a way that we can complement each other in that sense,
Yeah.
which is what makes us such a great team.
Yes, that's lovely. Good. Olivia, thank you very much for your
Thank you.
insights and your observations today, telling us about what it is to be a successful implementer. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.